Good afternoon. Thank you for coming in such short notice. My name's Dan Kelly. I'm the president of the Krewe of Endymion. I have with me today Mr. Charles Emile Bruno, who's our first vice president, and Daryl Darkan, who's our second vice president. The captain, Ed Munez, is under the weather today, so he wasn't here to be able to make it. I'd now like to ask Daryl to present our statement.
Thank you, Dan. The captain, officers, and members of the Krewe of Endymion are heartbroken over the unfortunate and tragic incident that occurred during our parade last night. Our thoughts and prayers are with the Sampson family and their friends. We would like to thank the New Orleans Police Department, the Louisiana State Police, Orleans Criminal Sheriff, the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office, and all other agencies that assisted us to safely disband the back half of the parade last night. We would also like to ask the Mayor and City Council to form a task force with other carnival organizations to discuss efforts to improve safety at Mardi Gras parades. The Krewe of Endymion has always worked closely with the police and all city agencies to make Mardi Gras a safe and enjoyable event for the public. Finally, we again expressed our deepest and heartfelt sympathies to the Sampson family during this very sad time. Thank you very much. If y'all have any questions.
How did the parading incident impact the Endymion extravaganza?
The event was able to continue as normal. Obviously, we had a shortened parade inside the convention center, but the performances continued, albeit with a little somber note.
This area that this happened was it very crowded or anything like that?
I don't think we had. I mean, the parade was very crowded. I mean, we had big crowds last night. I don't know that it was any more crowded than any other area or any specific numbers on the crowd there.
What are your feelings towards the decision on the tandem floats, the decision with that?
Well, okay.
We are certainly willing to discuss this issue along with any other issue that can improve safety. Safety, of course, not only requires the cooperation of law enforcement authorities, the city authorities, the parade authorities, and the people who view the parades.
Between Nix's incident and the incident in your parade last night, I understand it was people trying to cross, not in between floats, not in between marching, it's crossing on a tandem. That's a really dangerous idea.
That's certainly not something that the Krewe has authorized, and that's as I was trying to say, it requires the cooperation of the public. That's a very unsafe thing, in my personal opinion, for someone to do, and certainly not something that we encourage or sanction.
We also don't believe that was necessarily the case. Last night.
Yeah, go ahead. Well, we don't think that was the set of circumstances that you had last night. It was, the gentleman may have tripped, he may have fallen, he may have been pushed because of the crowd. We don't know that yet. That's under investigation by the police department.
If the policy that was put in place for the rest of this Mardi Gras becomes a permanent policy, no tandems, that kind of thing, you guys have a lot of really large floats. You get the Pontchartrain Beach is 4 floats long. How much would that hinder you in kind of doing what you do?
Well, I'm going to let Dan address that to a degree. But Endymion is not the only parade that has tandem floats or triple floats. Most of the larger crews have that. And that would have a tremendous effect, in my opinion, on the conduct of the parades. But again, when somebody hops the tandem, that's a very difficult situation. Maybe, an extension of barricades may help. But again, you have to address the relative equities of that with suppose somebody is pushed against a barricade in a larger crowd. So that's why we're asking for the governmental authorities in the city, the council and the mayor, to set up a task force where we can try to address these issues as logically as possible. But again, it requires cooperation from the general public. Danny, you want to elaborate on that at all?
I think the mayor's decision last night was a temporary decision just to get us through this Mardi Gras season. And I'm sure there'll be many meetings and discussions to see what we can do to try to cooperate with the city and try to come up with a better plan for next year. For everybody, not just for Endymion, but for all the crews.
For years,
I'm sorry.
for years, there have been some incidents at the Endymion parade, including last year, the two people who died. You know, of course, after being hit by a drunk driver. Are there any measures that you all?
Okay.
as far as-
Well, first of all, we can't regulate traffic. It's up to the city of New Orleans to decide which streets to close. And that incident, there were two incidents, in fact, one of which talks about somebody on Esplanade Avenue, and I'm assuming that's the one you're referring to. Well, that's miles from where the parade route was. The one with the drunken driver, again, that was off of the parade route. It was next to the parade route. And that's something, both of those things are things over which we have no control whatsoever. I mean, that's not a parade function because something happens on the same night. I mean, I've never seen a response from the media where, I mean, it's easy to refer to something that had happened on such and such a day, but I'm sure there are other things that have happened on the days of other parades.
As far as all the riders who didn't continue the ride last night, I know like Nick's had some of them riding in another parade. Is that being discussed as a possibility for Endymion riders?
I didn't hear it. They want to know about the possibility of the parade rolling later, the back half of the parade.
The city has decided in previous years that they were not going to allow rescheduling if for rainouts or whatever. And now that the new directive has been given that it has to be single floats, the Kerns don't have enough tractors to go around. They were scrambling this morning to get enough tractors to push everything by single equipment. And so there's no way that we would be able to do that. Not this year.
What is it that you're telling the riders? I know this is a hard thing for everyone. But
I'm sorry,
what is it that you're telling the riders? I mean,
Well, we're going to have a meeting with the riders next week, and we sent out a directive to them this morning already as to how they can get their throws off the float. And we're going to have a meeting of the membership next Tuesday night, not Mardi Gras night, the following Tuesday, and we'll explain to them everything that occurred and we'll, you know, what we did to try to solve the issue as best as we could.
I know there's still a lot to be discussed over the next year, but any idea how Endymion might look different next year and moving forward?
We have to wait and see what the city directives come out with, but I think the mayor will have a committee that gets together and will try to come up with a solution. There are solutions. It just is going to take a few weeks to iron out and work it out.
I have a two-part. First off, talk about the way you guys conducted yourselves, the way they handled this thing last night. Nobody expected. How did the crew handle things, and what do you think of the membership overall?
Well, we got the call somewhere around 7:15, 7:19, and immediately we were on the phone with city officials. They told us what they had planned to do. That plan changed, but in the meantime, we have always had at least 4 buses that we've posted at Tulane and Broad in case of an emergency. So we immediately dispatched those buses to go to the float that was involved. And then once we knew what the final directive was from the city, we were able to get about 11 to 15 other buses to go pick up everybody. And to the best of my knowledge, by 11 o'clock last night, everyone was in the convention center.
This is the second part of this one. I assume all of you guys have spent significant time with the crew. The Hard Rock changes the route. You can't do the extravaganza in the dome. Then you have this terrible accident. Have you ever had a year like this before, or anything you can remember?
Well,
as far as an oddity?
We've had some incidences in the past, but you know, you just have to work with it and make the best. And that's what we did last night.
Look, let me add to that by reminding you that in 2006, when this city was really struggling, we held an Endymion parade, and it could have easily been canceled because of the storm, but it was a unifying factor for the city, and that's what this crew and Mardi Gras is all about, is unifying this city to be its unique self in the world.
I would just say to answer, to follow on to your question, the members' communication is very hard during the parades. As you know, cell phones are very difficult in heavily populated areas, so we did our best to communicate to many of the members. We have our own texting solution in place to coordinate with float lieutenants and people that help coordinate the parade, because texting is a little easier than cell phones. So we did a lot to get the message out. Members certainly were confused as to what to do. Some of the plans had changed as it unfolded, so trying to communicate that was difficult. But at the end of the day, we have a great crew, and the members were very understanding once they began to learn what was going on, and so we're thankful for that. I'm really thankful for the efforts. Dan Kelly, our president, did an incredible job getting the members back to the convention center in what could have been a catastrophe in the amount of time that could have taken. So they did a wonderful job, and I think the members, all in all, understand once they understand what the incident was and what had to be done, you know, to accommodate them.
Anything else?
Anything else?
Anything else y'all would like to add?
No.
No.
I would just like to thank all of the law enforcement agencies. We have state police, New Orleans police, Orleans Parish criminal sheriffs, Harbor police, and especially Jefferson Parish police, who helped us this year. I think you probably heard a couple of weeks ago that we agreed to step up, and we provided at least 60 police from JP and from Harbor police to be able to stay on the Mid-City route. And that's very important to us. And we paid for that. We paid for those expenses. So we just want to thank everybody for what they did to make Endymion what it is and what we had hoped it would have been last night.
I hate to sound redundant, but when it comes to this whole tandem vote, they say if next year it is still in effect, then what happens?
I think we're going to have to wait and see how that goes. I mean, obviously that's an impact to many organizations, as Dan mentioned. So having to take multiple floats and make them single, that may or may not be the best solution to the problem. So I think that time will tell. So we'll see how it works. But we're gonna have an Endymion event, one way or the other. We'll make it successful and fun for everyone.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you all very much.